What's going on, everybody? Today we are back with another fly tying video. This is another one of my patterns that I've come up with over the years. I call it the Black Magic. This pattern's changed a little bit. I used to use a material called Tidewell Molted Nymph Rib for this fly, which was a company, I believe, out of Australia. They made this thread that had like a tinsel wrapped around it, and they had a color called burgundy jade, and I used to tie this pattern with that, and then it got discontinued. You can't find it anymore. So today we have a big T hook, size 16. This is another one of his jig claw series. We also have one of his beads. This is like the frosted pink. You can also use dark pink bead for this, and it works just fine. And we're going to be using some Semperfly 8-ox classic wax thread, just like on the Gravedigger, except this time we're tying it in black. And you're just going to start the thread up here next to the eye of the hook. You're going to advance that down to about where a barb would be if there was a barb on this hook. Alright, now you're just going to trim that little excess off of there. And for our tail, we're going to be using some Conch de Leon. You don't have to have a specific color. Darker is preferred, but I mean, you can tie this fly with anything. And it seems to work just fine, but you're going to tie this in. I try to measure the tail where it's about, I don't know, a little less than a hook length. And then what you're going to do is take this and just wrap it all the way up. The body on this fly, because the original one was actually a thread with tinsel wrapped around it, we're going to build the bulk of the body with the thread, just like you would with a perdigon. So just take some wraps back down, go up again, and what we're going to do for the rib is some of this Flybox fusion thread in the deep purple color. This stuff's got just a really great look to it. It's dark, so it's subtle. It's not in your face flashy, but it gives this fly just enough of a rib so it has a little bit going on and not just a dark thread body. And the original version of this fly with that Tidewell Molted Nymph rib pretty much had something similar to this wrapped around that thread. And what we're going to do, tie that in, come in here, trim off that right next to the bead. And again, we're just going to wrap this material back, or wrap the thread back rather. And we're going to wrap it up. This fly works in 16s, 18s, 20s. I usually don't go much bigger than a 16. It's more of a winter stone pattern. But, I mean, you can use it all year, but it's a really good winter fly. It just imitates a good winter stone, generic mayfly of some sort. You never know. I mean, whatever these fish want to think it is. So now, take this material, just start wrapping it up, leaving some space in between just to make a rib. I don't know if it's picking it up on the camera, but it leaves just a little bit of a flashy rib. Like I said, it's very subtle, but it's enough to where you know it's there. Get it up here next to the bead. You're just going to come over, lock that in, just like that. Next step, some black peacock, or not, this ain't peacock, this is actually black, just UV eye stub. So it's got that purple hue to it. You don't need much of this, just a little tiny amount like this should do it. You're just going to dub that on there pretty tight. Remember when you're putting dubbing on too, to spin it one direction. Don't do this and try to spin it multiple different directions, because then it just kind of defeats the purpose and it'll come off. Or it'll bunch up on there and not look good. What you're going to do with this, just to build a collar, is pretty much take wraps where they're almost on top of each other. And you should be able to do that in 2 wraps. And usually I'll take this thread and just go one right down the center of it. Reason I do that, it binds that material, and so instead of just wrapping it and then leaving it, and where a fish can chew on this and it start ripping off, you can take that thread and take one turn in the center of it, and it kind of locks everything in. And with a solid color thread, or the thread being the same color as the dubbing, you know, you don't have to worry about it showing up. And you're just going to take a couple good wraps in front of that, do your whip finish, or as I do, the half hitch. But get this right here. I usually do, like I said, 3-4 turns, not too many. Just come in there, break your thread, and that is the finished Black Magic. It's a very simple pattern. Catches fish all over the place. This is one of my favorites for, like I said, wintertime fishing, especially when there's a lot of winter stoneflies. And like I said, you can tie this fly with a dark bead, or you can keep this light bead on here. It looks kind of copper in the video, but it's a frosted pink. It's a very light pink colored bead. And yeah, hope y'all enjoyed this video. I'll have materials listed in the description of it, and we will definitely get back with you sometime soon, probably next week, on another fly pattern. I'm going to kind of keep this thing going with a couple of my own patterns first, and then maybe branch out and do some stuff that's already out there, like waltz worms and whatnot, just to, you know, just so people can see how I tie them. And yeah, we'll get back with you sometime, and I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and y'all go out there and whack some fish with it, and we'll see you next time.